Hello, friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ariel, and if you're new here, stay a while and listen. One of the most popular videos on my channel was about my miscarriage story and my journey to trying to conceive, which took like over 4 years. So now that I have had my first child, she just turned 2, and now I'm pregnant with my second. I kind of wanted to do a follow-up to that to talk about how pregnancy feels different the second time around, and also what it's like being pregnant after loss. If you haven't seen my miscarriage or trying to conceive video, those are linked down in the description box. But just a quick summary. It took me about 4 years of not being on birth control, like kind of casually trying to conceive. I was 29 when I stopped birth control. And at that time, my husband and I had been married for maybe like 6 or 7 years. I was kind of assuming that, it would happen pretty quickly. It ended up taking 4 years for me to get pregnant for the first time. And then I had a missed miscarriage at about 8 weeks. Then after that miscarriage, it took another year and a half to get pregnant again with my now daughter, who is 2. In my TTC video, I talk about the methods that I used to get pregnant. Didn't have any medical interventions, but I did use some herbal supplements. Thinking back to my second pregnancy, which would have been the one after the miscarriage, there were a lot of emotions for many reasons, honestly. Of course, the fear of having another miscarriage. With our first pregnancy, we told people straight away as soon as I found out. And with the second one, we were much more cautious. So we waited until after 12 weeks. And at every appointment, I was holding my breath, hoping to hear heartbeat and to hear good news. And fortunately, every time, we heard the heartbeat and there were no major issues. When it's your first time being pregnant, you don't really think about all of the things that could go wrong, unless you're close with someone who did have a miscarriage or something like that, which I wasn't. So the first time around, I wasn't thinking that miscarriage could be a strong possibility. And I later found out that it's a 1 in 4 chance of a pregnancy ending in miscarriage. So knowing that going into my second pregnancy, it was just at the top of my mind the whole time. Every time I went to the bathroom, I would wipe and look at the tissue to make sure there was no blood on it, because that was one of the symptoms that I had from my miscarriage. And so it was just especially the first trimester, there was so much, I don't want to say fear, but just acknowledgement and just it being at the top of my mind that anything could happen and just being worried. In that second pregnancy, since we had shared so early in the first pregnancy and then later had to turn around and tell, a lot of people about the miscarriage, we didn't want that to happen again. So we did keep it to ourselves until the 12-week scan. And that was when we shared with our families on Father's Day that we were pregnant. And in retrospect, honestly, I wouldn't not tell them again. I probably would have told them sooner for that second pregnancy for a couple of reasons. One is because it's good to have that support system. Because if we did have another miscarriage, I don't think that we could hide that. So then we would have to tell people, yeah, we were pregnant, we lost the pregnancy. And then it's just a lot of emotions at once for ourselves and other people. And the other reason too that I wish I had told people earlier, especially my mom, I wish I would have told my mom sooner about the second pregnancy, because she ended up passing away around 15 or 16 weeks. And so I just wish I could have had more time with her to know that I was pregnant because we spent Mother's Day together and I knew I was pregnant at that time and I didn't tell her. And that could have been like our only Mother's Day together. So that's my only regret. Anyway, that's super personal. I'm sure other people wouldn't really relate to that, but that's just my experience. I really spent the most of the first trimester and the second pregnancy after the miscarriage just being worried, which I think is very normal for someone in that situation. So it was just like really holding my breath the entire time, like not wanting to do too much physical activity and just being like ultra concerned about everything that I was doing. Once we got to the second trimester, things were a lot better. I got a lot more relaxed about, what I was eating, what I was doing. And, it ended up being okay. I kind of feel like I just spent too much time being worried. But again, like I said, it's normal. You can't really help but to do that. Now for my third pregnancy, which I'm currently 24 weeks. Want to see the bump? Oh, look at that. Things have been a little different. So some of the things we did differently this time was I told my sister pretty much right away. I found out at about 5 weeks. And I told my sister probably a couple of days after I found out. And then we told other like close family and friends starting at around 8 weeks. Since I knew what to expect from the first trimester, I wanted to tell people sooner. A, because if anything happened, I would want that support. And then B, I didn't feel like trying to hide symptoms, With the second pregnancy, I was like not drinking and it was, kind of awkward to think of a reason for myself not to drink because I'm a big social drinker. And also too, like I know the first trimester brings on a lot of fatigue. And if I'm not like my usual chipper self or, like I'm like falling asleep on the couch, I just didn't want people to suspect and me have to lie. So I just wanted to get that out in the open before, it kind of got too late. As far as the emotional differences after miscarriage between my second and third pregnancies, I still had some fear and worry about having a miscarriage. Even now at 24 weeks, I still look at the tissue every time I wipe. But I will say that it wasn't as strong of a concern as it was the second time around. When we had our 8-week scan, I was nervous about hearing a heartbeat or not hearing a heartbeat. I did use my fetal Doppler a couple of times between appointments, especially before I started feeling movement, just for ease of mind, But honestly, having an active toddler kind of took my mind off of it a lot more. And then two, we weren't really trying this time around. We had talked about wanting to have our children be like 2 years apart. So when that 2-year time period came up, I was like, okay, we got to start, thinking about what we're going to do. I hadn't been on birth control since having my daughter. So I knew that it could happen, but knowing our track record and kind of needing some supplemental support with getting pregnant, I wasn't super concerned about having a surprise pregnancy. But once that timeline started coming up where I knew if we wanted them to be about 2 years apart, it would be time for me to start taking my vitamins and stuff. And honestly, I did take the Vitex for less than a week, maybe like 3 days. And that's when I got pregnant. I don't know if it was the Vitex. Like I would feel like you need to take it for longer, but I took it for 3 days and then that was when I got pregnant. So, I guess it did work. So for people who have a low progesterone like I did or do, I would highly suggest taking Vitex if you do want to get pregnant. It seems to work really well, at least for me. But again, you can watch my trying to conceive video to learn more about all of the supplements that I took and my husband took. So in the first trimester, while I was worried, there wasn't too much that I changed, since I have an active toddler, like we would still do all of the same things we did before, except for I would baby wear her a lot, especially like front carry, because that's what she preferred. I stopped that probably around 12 or 13 weeks. So that was a little sad for me, but she didn't care. I still carry her and everything. Like I didn't stop picking her up and holding her and like rocking her to sleep. Like she always lays on top of me to go to sleep. None of that has changed even at 24 weeks. I'm surprised that she doesn't feel the baby kick her. She's never said anything about it, but I'm like, you've got to feel this. So physical activity has been about the same. And emotionally, I mean, since I have another person to like really focus on and take care of, I haven't been able to get too deep into my feelings about being pregnant again and, the fear of like early miscarriage. Although now, I know that pregnancy loss can happen during any time in a pregnancy. So that does like cross my mind sometimes, but it's not something that I focus on as much as I did in my second pregnancy. Now, the only emotions that I'm really thinking about is like trying to figure out how I'm going to balance a toddler and a newborn. Like that's a major concern, but people do it all the time. So, I think that it'll be okay. Overall, just having other children while being pregnant, you're just not able to focus on the pregnancy as much as you did the first time around. Like I could lay on the couch and binge watch something and just like take 3 naps a day. And now maybe I'll get a nap in, but I have to get stuff done while she's napping. So it's rare that I actually get a nap in. So, I'm like living on green tea and 5 hours of sleep. And in the first pregnancy, my husband would like talk to my tummy and he would put headphones on my tummy so that she could listen to music. And we've attempted to do that this pregnancy, like the music thing, and it's happened like a couple of times. And my husband does also like try to talk to the baby every day, but I don't think it happens nearly as frequent as it did with the last pregnancy. But on the flip side, also having a child while you're pregnant is kind of a cute moment too, because especially if they're old enough to acknowledge your pregnancy, which surprisingly my daughter is, she'll come up to my tummy and say, my sister, because I'm having a girl. And so we'll say, oh, your sister's in mommy's belly. And so she'll come up and like say, my sister. And then she'll like give my tummy a raspberry and go, and then run away giggling. It's the cutest thing, honestly. Whether it's your first, second, or sixth pregnancy after loss, I think that the worry of it happening again will always be on your mind. And that's completely normal, I think that it's important to like try to take care of yourself, focus on the positive if you can, and have someone there to support you, be it your partner or a close friend, or like, if you want to tell everybody that you're pregnant each time you become so, whether it goes full term or not, that's completely up to you based on what you think, what type of support that you would need either way. Try to enjoy every moment and take care of yourself and just keep trucking along every day, every week, every month that passes in your pregnancy. And every milestone that you reach is a joy. So that's been my experience with pregnancy 2 and 3 after a miscarriage. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I'm really interested to know what your experience has been if you've had a miscarriage and your subsequent pregnancies, how they've gone. So leave me a comment down below letting me know. And until next time, continue to take better care of your body and the planet. Thanks for watching.